Her culinary idol told her that there wasn't enough her in her dishes, and she took that literally. This short film is called High-End Dying, and it follows a chef who takes putting her blood, sweat, and tears into her passion to a whole other level. This was one of the wildest short films I've ever seen, and I was not expecting any of this at all. Eloise knows she's a great chef, but the critic says otherwise. So when she gets a scathing review in a magazine, she knows she has one last chance to prove herself. Not to mention the stress is getting to her and causing her to have chronic nosebleeds. But tonight can change everything, because there's a food critic coming in and his opinion means everything. Finally, service starts, and he is not impressed by the first dish. That's when she recalls a memory from her past. Turns out the critic is none other than her culinary idol, and when she didn't get the job to work at his restaurant, he told her that there wasn't enough her in her cooking. Suddenly, it hits her. So when the blood from her nose drips into the second course meal, she allows it to be taken out. And what a surprise! He loves it. And so, for the remainder of the dishes, Eloise instructs her crew that they must also put a bit of themselves in the dishes as well. By dessert time, there's barely any of her crew left, but at least the critic is happy, right? Finally, she goes out to give him dessert personally, and with the twist of her knife, she reaches into her chest and hands him her heart on a plate. In the end, he takes her idea and presents it to a group of elite clientele as the newest, most creative contribution to culinary art, and he calls it necrofusion. And even though he credits Eloise for creating it, she's not even around to reap the reward. I feel horrible that Eloise felt compelled to sacrifice everything she had, even her own life, to appease the critic, only for him to take her idea and get awarded for the very thing she died for. This isn't just a story about exceeding expectations. This story has many layers, focusing on race, gender, toxic work culture, and the painful sacrifice that comes along with pursuing your passion. It also serves as a cautionary tale about how insecurity can fuel a desperate need for validation, and the dangerous lengths someone might go to in order to get another person's approval. Eloise gave everything to gain the approval of the critic, eventually going so far as to sacrifice herself. And it makes me wonder if she ever realized that she'd been groomed into chasing his validation from the very beginning. In the middle of the film, we see Eloise competing against someone else for the chance to work at the critic's restaurant. She doesn't get chosen, and he tells her it's because her food lacked originality. It lacked her, as he likes to say. But later, he admits that the real reason he didn't choose her was because he believed she had more potential. He wanted to push her to be her best. In other words, she didn't get the opportunity because he held her to a higher standard. This was a standard her opponent was never expected to meet. This reflects something people of color face constantly. This need of having to work twice as hard and prove yourself to get half the reward. When Eloise hands him her heart on a plate, she's not just offering an organ. She's showing him that she's willing to give up everything to leave her mark, and she doesn't care who she has to sacrifice with her in order to do it. For her, cooking isn't just a craft, it's her identity, and by giving him her heart, she's literally placing her life in his hands. Every drop of blood that went into those dishes was an unnoticed sacrifice. It was a quiet gesture that brought him pleasure while slowly erasing her. The closer she got to his approval, the more of herself she had to give away. In the end, she finally gets the recognition, but only by destroying herself. The concept of necrofusion becomes the critic's legacy, while Eloise's memory fades. Her name is attached to the idea, but he's the one who benefits. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how far artists, especially marginalized artists, are pushed to go for their passions, even when the cost is everything.